so now that we have some basic vocabulary, we're going to dive into first continents. We're going to focus on the land that covers the earth first, all right? So the first thing I want to talk about, if you take a look at all the land here in kind of that gray color, why do we have continents? Well, it's pretty simple. I want you to imagine that you just went in an airplane ride and your airplane, the alarm goes on and it says that you need to eject. So you eject out of your airplane and you come slowly drifting down to earth safely. And you land right here. And unfortunately, while you're safe and sound, you did kind of twist your ankle a little bit. So you need some help. So you grab the radio and you're like, Mayday, Mayday, I need some help. And they come back on the radio and they say, okay, tell us where you are and we'll come help you. And you look around and you're like, okay, I'm on land. Well, you can see by the map here, you're not going to get help very quickly because there's a lot of land. And so what they ended up doing is map makers decided that they were going to take all of the land that's on Earth and kind of put it into big chunks and to give those big chunks labels so we can talk about this land. And the way that I remember that continents are big chunks of land, the word continent is a big word. If you look, it's got a lot of letters. So what I remember is big word is a big chunk of land. And you'll kind of see a pattern forming here. So the continents is all the land on Earth divided into these large chunks. And then again, those large chunks are given names. So I want you to look at this map here and just kind of ask yourself, like, how many continents do you think that we have? So take kind of a second. If you need to pause the video to kind of think about it. All right, I'm going to kind of reveal something here. Except that I don't know what I just did there. All right. So if you take a look, I'm going to get rid of myself again because I feel like I'm blocking everything. You can see here, color coded, how many different continents we have. So take a look and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you said 7 continents, you are correct. So what we're going to do is you do need to know the names and be able to label all of these continents on a map. So here is the map, and you'll have lots of practice activities to work with. All right. So I'm going to kind of go through and give you a little bit of information about these continents. First of all, once upon a time, there weren't 7 continents. Once upon a time, all of this right here, Europe and Asia, was actually combined into one continent, and it was actually called Eurasia. And then after a while, they decided, man, Eurasia is one big continent, and they decided they needed to break it up into 2 smaller ones. And if you take a look at Europe and Asia, they did not divide them down the middle, which frustrates a lot of my students. If you take a look, they divided Europe and Asia here, creating one very small continent, Europe, and one much bigger continent, Asia. And if you ever wonder, like, why did they choose that spot right there? It's really because that's where there's a big mountain range called the Ural Mountains, and that just made sense to have that be the spot where they break it up. The next continent that I want to talk about is the home of the longest river in the world. There are almost 2,000 languages spoken in this continent, and it has the hottest desert. Did you guess? Africa, with the Nile River and the Sahara Desert, and almost 2,000 different languages spoken in Africa. If you've ever seen the movie Madagascar, this little island here is part of Africa, and that's Madagascar, where you've kind of maybe seen those movies. The next continent I want to talk about is home of the koala bear and the kangaroo. You may have guessed Australia. And this is my favorite to talk about, the name Antarctica. If you take a look here, ant means bottom or below. Arctic means cold. So if you look at Antarctica, you are talking about the cold place at the bottom of the earth. Well, we talked about the fact that the coldest places are the places furthest from the equator, either way up at the North Pole or way down at the South Pole. We know that Antarctica is at the bottom because of ant, and so Antarctica is the cold place at the bottom of the earth. Now, there is a cold place at the top of the earth, but that's all water. And so we'll get to that when we talk about oceans. Now, something really cool about Antarctica that a lot of people don't know, because we often use maps and not globes, Antarctica, a lot of people think it's a long, thin island, but here I'm going to show you what Antarctica really looks like. It's actually like a small, roundish island. And that's because remember, when we turn a globe into a map, we cut through the North Pole all the way down to the South Pole and kind of peel it open each way. And it takes this round Antarctica and kind of stretches it out into what many think incorrectly is this long, thin island. The last one is going to be probably the most important for what we're going to do this year, and that is something that is often referred to as the Americas. Now, if we can consider the Americas one continent, that would be way too big. So we do divide the Americas at a place called the Isthmus of Panama. And if we look at our compass rose, you can see that the one to the north is North America, and the one to the south is South America. All right. So unfortunately, I don't know if I can move and groove on camera. I feel like I might be backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video here, and so I can make sure that I can get the moving and grooving practice hand motions working for a camera. So I'm going to stop this here. Again, the best part about a camera is that you now have this on video. If you want to go back and rewatch it, you are more than welcome.